Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you some Xgen tricks. First off, I've made a scalp. Okay, and I just kind of ripped off some geometry that was on the character already. And first thing, let's go and make sure that we've got some kind of default Maya material, Lambert Blinn or Fung. Okay, whatever you want. Boom, there. Just don't use an Arnold material, a V-Ray, or a Redshift material on it. It will come back and haunt you. Okay, next thing. I want to make sure that the UVs are in the 0 to 1 area. So I can see that this has been taken off of another mesh. So it's not. So I'm just going to go and quickly, let's go create camera-based, double check, make sure I didn't create any extra UV sets. Grab my UVs, unfold them, lay them out. And if I just hold down J, there, double check my settings and turn that off and fit them in again. Okay, double check they're not drifting out of the 0 to 1 area. Everything's cool. Okay, we're done. And I'll just delete the history. Okay, next thing. What I'll do, actually I'm just going to put the geometry onto a layer over here and I'll make it so I can't accidentally select it. There we go. I'm going to zip over into the Xgen interactive groom and let's go and create interactive groom splines. Okay, create. And I think in previous videos I've shown when you create the guides that you can kind of create guides and it'll generate some for you and then you can make your own. You go in here and you go on Control A, you hit create and it creates guides and blah blah blah. What I want to do is I want to give her a mohawk and I want it to be kind of specific. So here, let's go to the right view and let's go in here. I'm going to get the create CV curve tool. I've got it on like 3 cubic. Okay, great. And I'll start down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Enter. I'll just hit G and see if that'll work. G won't trigger it because I opened up the options box for it. So create CV curve tool. Okay, and now I can hit G and G will work. And sure. There we go, and 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to put 4 points down in order for this to work. I'm going to hit enter. And here I'm just going to grab these and I'll quickly group them just so they're easy to grab, etc, etc, etc. Anything else I got to worry about with these things? No. Now to get the guides, to turn these into guides. Actually, maybe one other thing I should do is with these points here, let's grab the scalp and the group, and I'm just going to quickly isolate them for a moment. And if I take this and I grab the CVs, I want them to snap them to the surface. I might not have enough geometry to do that. I can just make this live and go over here, grab a point. Dook. If I grab the move tool, dook, it'll snap. Anything here. And then if I start getting lazy, what if I grab all of them and I just hit F? No, F9 doesn't want to do it for me. What about F8? Okay, F8 does it. Still doesn't turn this on over here. Okay, whatever. Dook. Just try to go faster. And not symmetrical, but I'm not really super worried about it right now. Okay, great. And let's turn that make live off. And let's get out of here. There, I just hit F8 again and I'm out. So if I go over here to the guides and I go into the attribute editor and I go to use selected curves as guide, it's going to give me some options. Typically something like this. Preserve dynamic link, apply and close. But you want to use selected curves. So what you got to do is got to go in here and hit copy tab so that this will stay up here as we go into the group and I grab all those curves, and now I can use selected curves as guide. Look, gives me this options box. Don't use the preserve link. If you preserve the dynamic link, it gets complicated. So I'm going to turn that off. Actually, I think you can even go in here and delete curves. Oh, I can't show it. I'm going to open up the hypergraph. We'll see what happens. I'll hit apply and close, and it actually deleted the curves for me. And let's see, I'm on isolate select, so we don't see anything. But there we are. And if I'm looking over here, it looks like it got rid of that group too. So it got rid of everything. Now, let's see, as we go here, we could see the range. We can see how far the guides actually affect the mesh. Okay, this is interesting. Here, I'm going to close this down. And I can open up the guides here. And just as normal when you create guides, this little Xgen, what would the M stand for? Something spline base. Okay, it's the same thing, except it just doesn't have a sculpt layer. You can actually go in and add a modifier and add a sculpt, and then you can add more sculpt layers on top of that if you want to. Okay, not really worried about that right now. If I go to, first off, we got too much hair. It's all over the place. So I'm going to go down to the hair description. And in here, I'm going to go to the density mask. Let's go ahead and mask this. And I'm just going to call this like test. Okay, and change from an IFF. That'll work inside of Maya, but I'd switch to something. PNG should be fine. Browse. And I'm just going to make sure I browse this into my source images. Great. And anything else, I'll just hit create. Actually, it starts color as white. I might change that to black. So I hit create, and it's going to hide everything right away. Or it should. Okay, there it is. It hid everything. And then if I go to, I'm sitting in here. I've got the brush on right here. So now with the brush, I just went and switched icons. I found something that looked kind of interesting to me, so I found one of these little icons right here. And here, let's just hide this layer so you can actually see what the hell I'm doing. Here it is, all black. And my color is white. I'm just going to go make the brush smaller, and I'll make some kind of mohawky thing along here. Right? And there you go. It's automatically saving the little map that it's making, so it's quickly adding in the hair. As soon as I kind of click on this, I would suspect that down here there's like an auto save. Update on stroke is on. After you have a stroke, update. Okay, so there we go. Good enough. And I'm just in within my parameters here. So you can also, if I switched here, I could put on blur, and then I think I could go in blur. Does it let me do anything? Evidently not. What about smear? Am I allowed to smear? Okay, I am. I guess the blur, I thought there was a flood button for blur. Blend mode default. Blur intensity. I'm just curious now. Okay, I stopped playing. So we've got that, and I can get out of here, and I'm just going to switch tools. I might also notice that the hair is not, if I go here to hair description, it seems like we're quite kinky. So right here, I'm just going to take this 5, I'm going to change it to a 24, and I'll hit rebuild. There, it's smoother now. And you can do that to the guides too. If you feel that the guides don't have enough points in them as you're moving them around, you can rebuild them. And so maybe instead of 5, let's go, I don't know, not maybe 7. Boop, not too many. Okay. And then if you do need to, over here we've still got the guide sitting here. You can actually go in and add more. So you can go to the place brush, right? And I get the place brush out. I'm going to put on interpolate because we've already got the curves right here. Because sometimes if you have something like a straight line in the middle, you're not going to have total control over these. But if you have like one on either side, okay, you can kind of pull them in and make them overlap each other. Let's do a little bit of that. Okay, nothing crazy, just like that. And again, that's because I had interpolate on, but now I can do things like if I zip over into Xgen, I get the freeze brush, I can make freeze, oops, wrong one. Sculpt. Oh, I don't have a sculpt layer on here. I turned that off. So I go back here to sculpt. And in here it has the sculpt layer, put on edit, so now that takes it off of the hair. And so now I can freeze those. I can grab the move tool and I can kind of move this over a little bit. Oh, gotta be careful that I don't grab. Oh, I've got I got symmetry settings on my grab brush, so I'm just gonna turn those off. And let's just undo a couple of points here. I could delete the sculpt layer and put a new one on too, but whatever. I'm going to go back to freeze, and freeze those two. Go to the grab, pull this one over a little bit. And this is even before I get clumping action in here, right? Go back to the freeze brush and maybe let's just unfreeze all. There's an invert frozen. And then if I go freezing as I go, let's freeze these ones and these ones, hopefully. Go back to the grab and we'll do something like this. Anyway, you get a bit of control, and I can keep interpolating and throwing in more points, right, if I want to. Okay, cool. Then if I go in and again, I can go to the modifiers. I can throw in clumps. There's a small clump. Actually, it looks like the clump went onto the sculpt layer. That's not what I really wanted. So I'll just grab the hair description here and should have a clump on that. There we go. And I can do modifications to that too. Let's close this thing down. Let's go over here, Control A. And if I'm on my clump, let's see, clump scale. So I can have it and kind of control the shape of it here. So it's maybe just more on the tips. Hopefully, damn it. There we go. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. Okay, great. And also you can put another clump, so you can add clumps onto your clumps. So if I go in here and I put another clump on top, and go over here, I can turn down the strength a little bit. I can turn down the density so they're not quite as thick. Turn down the strength more. Okay, just so that there's something else there, and maybe I'll throw in a noise. Okay, so we've got this working for us. Now, and I can keep playing and talking about this all day, what I'm interested in is getting the dynamics working on this. Okay, so if I had my character in here, where is it? It's over here, and it's hidden on a layer. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't go in and put bones in this, so I'm going to do a really fast one, just for demonstration's sake. Boop, zip in here, and I'll go zipping over into rigging, and I'll go into the skeleton. I'm going to go to create joints, and I'm just going to create something up through the body there, one in the lower neck, middle neck, upper kind of head area, and top of the head. I'm just going to hit enter, and you can't see it, but if I go to shading and I go to X-ray joints, my joint size is kind of small, so let's see, I got my little joint size right here, so whoop, let's make it bigger so it's faster. Okay, just going to grab, oh, this is on reference, whoop, grab the mesh, and I'm going to do a skin, and I'll just do a quick select the joints, hold joint hierarchy, apply. I got teeth in this character and stuff, so tongue, upper teeth, lower teeth. It's just for demonstration again. Instead of joint hierarchy, I'll do selected joints. I'll just grab that one, whoop, close. Okay, and I did that all, so I could grab this joint and maybe on keyframe or on frame 1, I'll put some animation on it. Go to frame 30, and go in and do some perfect, exactly what I wanted. Perfect animation. Actually, just hold on a second. Let's see if I grab this one, and this one. And on frame 1, I keyframe them. And on frame 30, I'll just grab them all and see if I can rotate them all a little bit. Okay. And yeah. Anyway, so if I grab this scalp here, and then I grab the scalp, come on, and I hold down shift and I grab the mesh, I can zip into the deform menu and I can put a wrap on this. Okay, so I got a wrap, and now let's just check it out. Does it play? Totally works. So, but my mohawk is stiff. I didn't weight the head or anything like that, so you see all the eyeballs drifting into the head. Goes a little slow, and it doesn't move, so that's cool. There's two things you can do here. If you want to have animation on this, you want it to move. If you got like one shot where you want the hair to move just a little bit for whatever reason, something really simple, what you can do is you could go in here to the sculpt and you can add another sculpt layer. And on this sculpt layer, we've got edit on, right? Oh, that's the top one. This is the new one is underneath. I don't know why I keep thinking that it's going to be the one on top of it. I don't know. Kind of like a Photoshop thing, but it's not. But if I go down here and I hit edit, I could zip into my Xgen tools and I could start to move the guides. Oh, they're frozen, you bastard. So I gotta undo again, go into the frozen tool and unfreeze all. Okay, and then go zipping back in here and get the move brush, and I could kind of figure out exactly how I want the hair to be for that one particular shot or frame or however many whatever, right? And I can keyframe this thing. I can set a key on it, and I can turn it off and on. So that would be ultimate control over the hair, right? To get it back to that stiff pose really quickly. So the other thing I can do, let's get rid of this. I can actually get rid of that sculpt layer. Let's go back to the first frame. The other thing I can do is if I go to the guide and I go into the attribute editor, you can make the guides dynamic, okay? Again, when you make the guides dynamic, it's going to give you questions like attach curves to selected surfaces. And I can't select the surface, so I got to do that little trick again where I go down here to copy tab and then go over, select the mesh that I want to collide with, maybe this one, maybe the scalp, depends upon my mood, and then go to make guides dynamic and delete original guide data, extract shape mesh, collide with mesh, attach curves to selected surfaces. And I've already kind of snapped those curves down to the surface, so I shouldn't have any problem. Okay, great. And then I can close this. That's that floating one. You can see now we've got, if I go back to the first frame and I press play, now we have dynamics on here. And those dynamics are being based off of the nucleus system. Okay, so we've got the nucleus system. If your character is modeled to real world size, you probably want to put the scale typically to 0.1, right? That's what I usually do for my starting point. We'll see what that does to the hair if it makes it really heavy. Yeah, it's going to make it a little bit heavier. It's actually not colliding with the mesh the way I'd hoped, but that's okay. Next thing is if I go into the hair system, here I'm going to stop this. Stop it. If I go into dynamic properties, I can go zipping down to start curve attract. Okay, let's start this over again. So I'm going to go in here, press play, and start curve attract is trying to attract to that original position. You can actually go beyond the slider of 1, so you can make it more powerful. Because sometimes I notice it acts a little bit funny. Okay, but there we go. And also too, I should mention that we should be on, when I right click, playback speed. Playback every frame maximum real time. Okay, and then I'll just go back to the first frame. So if it's doing what you want it to do, we got a little bit of shake-a there. Actually, the start curve attract is working quite well. Actually, I can dial that back a little bit so it just has a little bit of jiggle. Actually, maybe it is just over the top, but we're getting a little bit of movement. That's some good jelly you got there. Then what I can do is if I have, do I have to have the guide selected when I go and do this? If I go here to descriptions, cache, create new N cache. This is going to take this cache and turn it into an Alembic file. So I can go in here and let's see, we're going to brush shapes. I don't want to be there. We'll go to Documenzo and I'll go to my, I'll just stick it into my normal Projecto and zip into Greta there. and I'll put it, actually probably should put it in the cache data someplace here, end cache, great. And I'll call this test mohawk. I should do like a mullet mohawk festival here. And if we go and hit create, now what it's going to do is going to run through and it's going to cache all this information. Okay, I probably could have made it stop a bit sooner if I hold down escape. There, I can make it stop. We can just look at the cache. If we go backwards, nothing, 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 nothing. Oh, there it is, and I can slide, oh, this way, that way. There still seems to be a little bit of dynamics on. I suspect that if I go and I find my nucleus, and book, oh, you bastard. Open up the attribute editor for it. I can disable the nucleus at this point because we don't need the simulation anymore. And let's just check that out. Now it runs. Whoop. Okay, so now it's just cache data. There's no more simulation on it. And there you have it. What is it, 21 minutes? I'm going to stop here.